Hi, everyone. Good evening and welcome to you if you are watching on replay. I'll just give people a minute to jump on because the messenger bot has just gone out. So if you're new to these Happy Hustle shows, when you sign up for the messenger bot, I will send out a message to you just before I go live. I never quite know exactly what time it's going to be. Just kind of depends how the day job has gone. Hi, Gillian. But you can make sure that you do know that when I am live by simply signing up for the Facebook Messenger. So, how are you doing, Gillian? How has your day been? Oh, hi, Joe. Hi, Angela. Okay. Hope everybody is having a good week. And for those of you that are on, we will be having our What Would Julie Do Mastermind Live right after this. But on the Happy Hustle Show, I want to talk about fixed versus growth mindset. Now, you've probably come across these terms before. It's certainly really big in, I guess, education generally. It's definitely really big in education in Scotland. But I was just reading something about it today, and I was thinking about affirmations off the back of, hi Julie, off the back of the masterclass that we had yesterday on manifestation. And if you didn't manage to catch that, because it was at lunchtime yesterday, I appreciate that's not a time that works for everyone. It's in the units, you can watch it on catch up. But one of the things we were talking about was affirmations. And it just occurred to me today that my first, my second proper job, hi Margaret Ann, was a financial advisor. I was a financial advisor for it was only about maybe 3 years, 4 years, something like that. But there was, hi Sarah, but there was an affirmation that I realized I had to say repeatedly as a financial advisor, but I didn't actually realize it was an affirmation until today, and I'll tell you what it was at the end. But first of all, I want to talk to you generally about fixed versus growth mindset, because it's so important for your side hustle. So let me just read you, bear with me while I read you the definition so I get this wording exactly right. So fixed versus growth mindset is something that a number of people have explored, but Carol Dweck is probably the most famous or prevalent psychologist who studied mindset, and she sums up the mindsets in the following way. So I'm just going to read this to you. So in one world, the world of fixed traits, success is about proving that you're smart or talented, validating yourself. In the other world, the world of changing qualities, so a growth mindset, it's about stretching yourself to learn something new and developing yourself. So in one world, fixed mindset, failure is about having a setback, getting a bad mark in an exam, losing a football match, getting sacked, getting rejected, whatever it is. It's you allocate it in your brain to not being smart enough or talented enough, or, however you process that. But in a growth mindset world, failure is about growth. It's about the thing not being just right for you right at that moment. It's about the learning experience of something maybe not happening exactly as you imagined it. In a fixed mindset world, having to make a lot of effort is seen as a bad thing. And I kind of hear people saying this about their children. They have to, they have to like make a lot of effort to get good grades in their exams. But how brilliant is that? In a growth mindset world, it's about everything is possible. So it's about knowing that you can put in the effort to achieve anything that anybody else in the world has achieved. If anyone can do it, anyone can do it, including you. So a fixed mindset is something that definitely, I would say, when I was younger, a fixed mindset was quite a normal way to believe, so people were like, when I was at school, so this is a long time ago now, as I was at school, you were the clever kid or you were the not very clever, like they sort of still do this a little bit in Scottish high schools. Through my experience, they stream children for maths only. I think that's the only thing they stream them for in the high school that my particular kids go to. But when I was at school, you got put into 3. In fact, when I was at school in Northern Ireland, and I'm reluctant to say they've stopped doing this. I think they might have stopped doing it, but if they have, it's only in the last couple of years. They might still be doing it. There was a thing called the 11 plus. I don't know if you had it in the rest of the UK, but the 11 plus, it's definitely, as I say, until very recently, it was still a thing in Northern Ireland. If it isn't still, but basically, you sat an exam. It's maybe a bit like SATs in England. But anyway, 11 plus, you sat an exam, and it deemed if you were clever enough to go to, in Northern Ireland, a grammar school. Or a secondary school. Just even listen to those terms. A grammar school or a secondary school. And based on that mental aptitude test that you did at 11, called the 11 plus, that determined whether you were clever enough to go. So it very fixed mindset stuff, very, you're born clever enough to do something, and your effort and your, the attitude that you can kind of engage to get there wasn't necessarily seen as important as a fixed mindset. That definitely has changed a lot now. When I was at school, you were streamed. So I got to a grammar school because I was deemed to be clever enough to go to a grammar school. But in the grammar school, we were streamed into 3 classes. They were called A, B1 and B2, because you weren't supposed to have a C class. So they thought by calling it B2, no one would work it out. But anyway, there was the top kids, the middle kids. And of course, there's a whole load of reasons why you stream kids, and why, it still happens today to some extent. You went to an all-girls grammar school as well, Angela. Quite an experience, wasn't it? So very fixed mindset, very, so it would be unfair to say that the school kind of put across the attitude that you couldn't possibly get an A if, you hadn't passed your 11 plus or whatever. It wasn't that, but things have moved on so much now that it's really widely accepted in schools, I think now, that anyone can achieve. And it is about attitude and effort and focus and doing the right things, but everything is possible. And you would, if you've got children, I'm sure those are the sort of conversations that you have with them, because that's what you want children to believe, because it's true. Like, it's true. Anything that anybody can do, anybody can do. However, I want you to just check in with yourself as an adult and check that you are rocking about with a growth mindset as opposed to a fixed mindset. So, for example, if you have any sort of failure, so in your side hustle, if something doesn't go exactly as you hoped, and that will happen, if it doesn't go exactly as you hoped, how do you perceive that? Do you perceive that as, okay, well, that's a learning. I have learned what not to do there, and I will choose a different thing. So I will choose to kind of address that in a different way. Or does that really knock the wind out of your sails and bring out all the kind of, all that, well, I wasn't good enough, I don't know why I'm doing this anyway, all the unhelpful things that we can tell ourselves in our minds. So check in with yourself, because every single successful person has failed multiple times. You don't get to be successful without resilience. You don't get to just have a dream life where everything works out perfectly for you and you never need to fail, nothing ever goes wrong. that's not the case for anyone. It's not the case for anyone. And even where you look at people and you maybe perceive that that's the case for them, it's not. It's absolutely not. People that are successful, people that have successful side hustles have completely failed. They have completely failed. But what they have done is they've used the growth mindset approach. So they have looked at something and gone, okay, I've learned another way that doesn't work, or that particular thing in that particular circumstance at that particular time didn't work. So I'll try it in a slightly different way. The only way you can fail at anything, and definitely at a side hustle, is by giving up, is by letting the fixed mindset creep back in, by letting those doubts in your mind creep back in, where you go, oh, I knew I wasn't going to be able to do this. There's no way I'll ever be able to do it to the level of whoever you aspire to be. And then you just withdraw and you go, well, I'm not. I mean, fundamentally, it's coming down to I'm good enough, I'm not good enough. I am enough, I am not enough. And when I say that, I want you to check in. What one are you resonating with? Do you strongly feel that you're good enough? Do you strongly feel that you're good enough for life, for your side hustle, for everything that you do? Do you have a real sense of that? Because you are, you absolutely are. But if you are walking about with struggling with the I'm not good enough, then you need to be working on changing the story. And for those of you that have worked with me for a while now, you know that I'm always talking about the stories in your head, the stories that we walk about with. We create stories in our heads about circumstances, and they're never true. We're always, well, majority of situations, they're not true. We're making them up. And we have a choice over the stories we make up. So again, you may have heard me talking about something similar before, but if let me see. So say you send a text to somebody and they don't reply. Just take that really simple scenario. You can go, I sent a text to my friend this morning and she hasn't replied. What is the story that you're automatically going to there? What is the story that you're making up in your head? Because there's no truth yet. You don't know why your friend hasn't replied. What are you thinking? What's your automatic default story that you're making up? Is it, oh, I wonder if my friend's busy. I'm sure he or she will probably text back at some other time. Or, those friends who just say, oh, I totally meant to reply. I replied in my head and then I totally forgot. All of those scenarios are perfectly reasonable and they're not stressful. But when you start defaulting to stories like, oh no, I wonder if I've upset her. Oh no, I wonder, gosh, maybe when the last time we went out, maybe when I made that joke, she was upset by it or whatever. If you're starting to make up stories like that, then it's the not good enough that's coming back out. So the next time you think something like, so say when you're starting off a side hustle that you have not done before, so you're practicing and you're trying to get really, really good at something. One of the questions that I'm regularly asked is, someone will show me a photo and go, do you think this is good enough to sell? I'm like, of course it's good enough to sell, because we all have to start somewhere. You should see the first piece of hand stamped jewelry that I sold. I thought it was great at the time. Looking back on it, I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't believe someone wanted to buy that. But they did, and handcrafted stuff, not being perfect, is absolutely fine. But the next time you think something like, that isn't good enough, I want you to think, okay, how can I make the next one better? Just a slight change in your thought. What about, I can't do it. I just can't do it. You just need to drop the T. I can do it. Whatever you're telling yourself over and over is what you believe. So I'll give you another one. I don't have the ability to learn. It's best to stick to what I know. Okay. How about, I want to try to not give up here. I'm keen to explore new ideas. Flip it on its head. I have fixed potential. I have unlimited potential. How about this one? That's just how I am. I hear that a lot as well. So in my day job as a trainer, in fact, someone said this exact thing to me last night. She was talking about she was talking about buying a new car, and she's got to go into the garage today to talk to the salesman. There was a bit of a story about it, and she's lovely. Like, I really like her, but she said, "Oh, and whenever I go in, that's what everybody says. I can't control my face. Like, it'll know right away because I can't control my face." I'm like, and I've heard lots of people saying that over the years on training courses. They'll go, whenever, so I do a lot of training on assertiveness and difficult conversations, and people say, "Oh yeah, it's all fine and well knowing the words, but I can't control my face." And I'm like, you can. Like, where have you got this in your head? Why do you keep repeating to yourself that you can't control your facial expressions? Because you're the only one controlling them. Like, no one else can control your facial expressions. But sometimes we just tell ourselves things, and we've told ourselves things for years that aren't helpful. But it's quite easy when you catch yourself to then flip it and go, well, what if I could? What if I could control my facial expressions? What would that look like? Okay. So what I want you to do is it's kind of hard to think in the moment when I'm just kind of talking about the concept of fixed versus growth mindset. But your actions off the back of this is, I want you to notice the next time you have to make a decision about something, are you doing it through a fixed or a growth mindset? If you've got children, it's what you would encourage your children to do. Are you role modeling that? Because if you have got children, it's really super important to role model growth mindset. They can do anything. You can do anything. There are no limits. There are no limits. It takes work. It takes focus. It takes action. But anything is possible. The mantra so just to finish off, the mantra that I realized today that I said for years and years and years and years, and I only realized today it's basically a positive affirmation, is I used to sell, because I was a financial advisor, I used to sell investments. And I always had to say to every customer, and I don't type it and they had to sign it. I always had to say, past performance is not an indicator of future performance. And I think that perfectly sums up growth mindset. Just because you tried it before, just because it didn't work out that one time, it's absolutely no indicator of future performance. It's no indicator of your future potential. Your action taking, your attitude, and your ability to notice your mindset is what makes all the difference. Thank you. I'm going to have to go because I need to go and hang around with my mastermind people at 7 o'clock. So for those who are in the mastermind, just give me a couple of minutes and I will be live in there. Thank you everybody else for coming along and tuning into the Happy Hustle Show. I will be back on Monday talking about another side hustle related topic. Take care and have a good weekend, everyone. Bye.